Have you wondered if you can crochet cables? You can. And did you know that cables can be crossed in the front and in the back? Two different ways to do that. And in this viewer question tutorial, I'm going to address crossing your cables in the back. I'm Suzi Quillen. I'm the Empress of Yarn here at Perfectly Knotty, and I'm so glad you've joined me for this tutorial. Grab some yarn and a crochet hook, and let's get started.
To get started with our 3x3 back cross crocheted cable, we are going to start with 12 double crochets. This actually is the foundation double crochet, and I will put a link to that in the show notes. But we're going to do 12 because I want 3 as a border, and then I need my 6 because we're crossing 3 over 3, and then 3 more for a border. And here we go. We're going to chain 3. This is going to be the first double crochet, so we'll not put a stitch in there. And we're going to put our next double crochet right here, and one more. Oops. Let's try catching that, shall we? Alright, this is where our cable begins. We're going to skip these 3, and we're going to make our next stitch around the post of this stitch. And this is going to be 2 yarn overs instead of the 1 for the double crochet. And that's because instead of putting the stitch up here, we're actually making it all the way down here. And you need that extra yarn over to get the proper height. I'm going to pull this up, give it a little bit of a wiggle. You do not want to make these stitches tight. Yarn over, go through 2, go through 2, through 2, to 2 yarn overs. We're going to go around the next post. Pull it up, give it a wiggle. Yarn over through 2, through 2, through 2, 2 yarn overs. There's the next one. Go around that post, give it a wiggle. Oops, I split it. This yarn is getting kind of old. Okay, now the trick is working these 3 stitches here that we skipped. In my previous video about cables, we crossed in the front. This time we are going to actually cross behind. So let's get, so what we're going to do is going to get our 2 yarn overs, and we're going to reach behind, and you can see my hook coming out here, right? And we're going to find the 3 stitches that we missed, 1, 2, 3. So we want to go around the post of this stitch. So I'm going to identify that and hold that with my thumbs, and I've got my 2 yarn overs, and I'm going to get in and around, and then I have to get the 3 that I'm behind. I need to reach in again behind them, grab my yarn over, and get that wriggled up through here and behind the post. And then I'm going to actually fold the 3 first ones. I'm going to fold those to the forward. Now you can see a little bit more. And I can finish that. So we're going to do 2 yarn overs, and we have this folded forward so we can reach around that post right there. Wriggle it. 2 yarn overs. Here's our next double crochet. There we go. Wriggle it. All right, now it looks like really dimensional and funky, I know. But if you take it and you kind of pop it and wriggle it back in place, it will start to come together. It is kind of an optical illusion. Well, now we'll work the last 3 as a double crochet. All right, there's that first row. Now to finish this and get prepped for the next row, we need to work across these stitches that are worked out of order. In the question that was asked, the pattern is worked in the round, but we're not doing this in the round, we're actually doing it flat. So I'm going to pretend that we're in the round by just simply coming back to this end over here, inserting my hook, giving myself a long bit of tail. We're going to pull the yarn up and pretend, because this is a swatch and we can do that. We get our 3 double crochets for our edge. Now these are the 6 stitches that need to get worked. So we have these 3 and then we have the 3 back here. So we're going to do our triple crochets and around that post. Wriggle it. Always wriggle that, because you're doing these kind of at an angle and it will make them really tight, and then your cables will not lay smooth or directionally. They'll be all bunched up. All right, can you see how that is going? Now it's these 3 back here that can kind of be a challenge to get to. It's really important when you do this one that you're not accidentally hooking into any of these back here, because that is going to cause you problems. So we've got my 2 yarn overs, and I'm going to pull these ones forward so I can look at the tops of your stitches so you know, can help verify where they are. There's my 3 right there, and I'm going to reach in here like that. And of course, having that loop on the end where I pulled the hook out with, so I didn't have to cut my yarn, was kind of a little extra challenge there. 2 yarn overs around the post. And around the post. And then we'll do our last 3 double crochets. You can do a double crochet cable and then your stitches on the periphery then would just be a single crochet. That works as well. You can also just do all the same, and then it will make the cross of your cable really just get scrunched and dimensional. I'm going to take my hook out and we're going to give that a kind of a pop and a wiggle. And then you can see right here is where we have those 3, and back here you can see the tunnel where it makes the ones that are crossed from behind. And that is your back crossed cable. All right, I'm going to show you this again, because working those crosses over an existing cable it is similar, but it looks a little bit different. So we're going to do our 2 yarn overs. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3, and we're going to work around this one. I'm going to give it that little bit of a wiggle, give it a little room around that one. And around that one. Okay, now we want to go and work around these 3 right here. from the back. So we're going to get our 2 yarn overs. I'm actually going to kind of fold this forward so you can see across the top of our stitches. And we're going to go and find those 3 to make sure we know where they are. There they are. There's 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to work. I've got this held forward. I'm going to get a hold of that one. I'm actually looking here to make sure I'm lined up with the right one. And then I'm going to work around it. This is a little bit fiddly. It's a little bit of an optical illusion. Again, make these stitches loose. Don't try to make them tight. Okay, one more. Right there. Okay. Here we go. Alright, that's our 3. And again, we end up with this kind of crunkly looking thing until we manipulate it back where we want it. And look how that cable really pops. Now let's finish our 3 stitches on the side with our double crochets. Alright, and then again, it kind of looks a little crinkly, but if we just kind of give it some wriggling, you'll see how that will pop. I'm going to come back on the other side and show you how to do this as if you were working it in flat rows, just as we are doing in this sample. So we're looking at the back of these cables worked, and I see how they have these ledges right here. That is what we want to see. This shows us where we have gone around the post, because now you can see the top of the row right here. I'm going to put my hook back in, and we're going to finish that last row of cables, but we're going to do it from the back side this time. I'm going to do our 3 end double crochets. Right now, here are the 6 stitches in question, and they look even more different when you're looking at them from the back. So you're going to, if you follow the way that the order the stitches are in across the top, that's really going to help you a lot. So here is the first one. So we're going to do our 2 yarn overs and go around that one, making sure that we aren't catching into the back of that one over there, okay? So sometimes we have to use our other fingers to isolate the stitch that we're working with. We're going to go, now instead of going around it this way and pulling the texture of the stitch back to the side we're facing, we want all of those pop stitches to be over here. So we need to go around from the back and wrap around the post this way so that it's pulling the texture to the right side of the fabric. And again, you do want to wiggle that and kind of give it a little bit of room, so there's plenty of room for it. Do our 2 yarn overs. Find our next one. That's this guy right here. Got my 2 yarn overs, and again, I'm going to come around from the right side of the fabric, so I'm pulling that post to the right side of the fabric. And where's our next one? 1, 2, there's the next one. Now here, since these are so crossed, the 2 middle ones that are so crossed, right? If you're not careful, you can work them out of order. So you want to make sure that you are getting them in order based on the tops of the stitches, and isolate them. Use your fingers and isolate those stitches if you need to. And again, we're going to go from the right side of the fabric and around that post and pull that up like that. This is can take a little bit of practice, so be patient with yourself. All right, now where's the next one? That's this guy right here. correct? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to be on to this next block of 3. Yarn over, and again I'm going to go around from the right side and get around that post. Wiggle. There's the next ones. And then the last one. And then our last 3 double crochets. So it's a little different when you're closing off that cable and you're doing it from the wrong side. There you go. And that is the back side of our cables. And again, it kind of looks a little scrunchy until you kind of give it some massagey stuff going on there. There we go. That's what it looks like on the back side. Again, you have these shelves, and you can see here where our cables are crossed, and they're all going the same direction. And then when we turn it over to the right side, and get all of my sample strings out of the way, you can see really how beautifully dimensional those stitches are. Be sure to subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, share it with your friends. I certainly do appreciate your support, and I hope that was helpful for you.
Thanks for watching my tutorial on how to do back crossed crochet cables. Did you practice saying that? It's kind of a tongue twister, isn't it? If you have a technique question about your knitting or your crochet, head over to perfectlyknotty.com/contact and fill out the form. And I will see what I can do to get you pointed in the right direction. Sometimes I'm able to make a tutorial, and I appreciate your help and support. When you subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell. And if you found this helpful and worthy of your time and attention, I would be so honored if you would click that thanks button down there at the bottom and buy me a cup of coffee. So again, I'm Suzi Quillen. I am the Empress of Yarn here at Perfectly Knotty. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.